Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me either on my YouTube channel or you're catching me on my YouTube channel via my Facebook page, both being True Divine 44. Like, share, subscribe and comments, always grateful for, and thank you to everybody who does that thus far. I put out as much free content as I can, and part of that is the daily energy readings via tarot, where I pick up on the energy, I play with it, I feel it, and then I back that up with the storyline that the tarot wants to deliver to you guys. It's up to you guys to be discerning. Only take and keep and think on what catches you here in your heart chakra, in your heart. Don't try and manipulate a reading and bend it to insecurities that you might have regarding a situation that you don't have, but you might manifest through the power of this powerful mind. So this is for the 15th of May 2020. The first card being the Moon card. Divine feminine energy, the cycles, the representation of the cycles that we all go through, the changes and morphs and throughout each month, let alone each day. There's a flow of a cycle. You know, the moon doesn't stop going through its cycle. So, but it also speaks of a more delicate, more less in your face energy as the sun, which is the masculine. It speaks to intuition, it speaks to feeling your way through the cycle, it speaks to finding your path through your heart, through what resonates with you, rather than using your mind as much to control your direction or your decision making. Because of the dim light of the moon compared to the sun, more can go on underneath that dim light that isn't necessarily seen straight away, especially if we are living through our mind predominantly and not engaging our heart, you know, our intuition. And we're able to be able to foresee, to have foresight. So, you know, there's certain things that can be taken advantage of, and one thing that can be taken advantage of with the moon is that it's easier to hide, it's easier to deceive under that dim light rather than the bright light of the sun that shines in every corner. So it speaks of the shadows on either side of this path for me today. It speaks of you know where you need to go, you know your direction. Through this light here, you know your balance, you know where you need to be, but there's certain energies pulling at either side in these shadows for me today, which might work to, if we're thinking of the moon as a cycle, you know, the shedding of skin, even we do that naturally every day. We gradually shed skin and there's newness there, there's new skin underneath, like a snake would shed its skin. It's the cycle. In these shadows, you might find, a lot of people might find today, the deception, the deceivers, trying to sort of manipulate and pull you off that middle ground, off that balance, off that path. And a lot of people might be finding that that's done through really niceties, you know, like people being so nice, over nice, that you wouldn't dream, if you're thinking with your mind, that they would be the ones to deceive you or want to harm whatever plan you have, whatever path you're on. But there is. So there's this feeling of deception here, which is trying to alter your path, trying to pull you in different directions, but not in a in-your-face way. It's a very calculated and deceptive way. So to clarify that, because I wanted to clarify, it was the Nine of Swords, and so this speaks of severe depression, disappointment, severe disappointment, and there's disappointment in people around you, there's disappointment in the systems around you, there's disappointment in the enlightenment that you're getting through your intuition, rather than thinking through your mind, feeling your way through information, feeling your way through facts and figures and actions that's speaking louder than words. And when you're on this path and you have these deceptive energies pulling you here, there and everywhere, it's important to remember that term, that actions speak louder than words. Look at their actions. Yes, they might be giving you all the promises under the sun. Yes, in your individual lives, it might be that you're getting all of the commitment words that you want to hear. But it might be that if you sit back and feel your way through it, you can see that none of those words have been backed up yet. None of those things have come into fruition. Nothing has been seen to be done. These words continue. And so that's disappointing. And there's a real energy of despair here regarding, for some people, the human race, and for other people, regarding the systems that they've maybe respected, that have been in control for far too long, or individual lives, like I said, in relationships, in very personal ways. It's a shock to the system when you've believed the words that you've heard, you've believed the things that you've lived through and been taught to believe in, the values and things like that, and you've sort of bought the words, and you've built up this character in your mind and in your heart regarding this person or these people or these systems that doesn't really represent them truly. It doesn't really give you the true identity of them. So it really is hey baby, so it really is a disappointing energy, in that, you know, you're disappointed in these people, you're disappointed in the way things have been carried out, and you're disappointed in yourself, maybe regarding being fooled, regarding allowing yourself to build up this character that actually, when you sit and reflect, the actions never ever represented the character that you built up in your mind. It's important to not stay in this energy. It's important to not stay bound in these thoughts. These are swords, these are thoughts. It's important not to stay there for too long. It's important that you realize that this is your path, your middle ground, and allow your intuition to take over for a little while. Allow your feelings to take over for a little while, and that knowing that you're worth so much more, knowing that you are enough for anything you choose to be or do, that these energies are often attracted to us, or we attract them into our lives because they're part of this experience of learning and expanding, and they often hook into the very things, the very insecurities, the very conditioned behaviours that we have, that really associate with those insecurities. And there's a reason. It's because using this energy, this card rightly, we can think through where this got in, where this conditioning got in, where this gap, this lack in us regarding our insecurities got in. And it can be a gift in disguise, a blessing in disguise, in that maybe you would have never attained your true destiny, your true life path, if you hadn't come into some of these energies, if you hadn't been challenged somewhat emotionally and mentally, if you hadn't been given the opportunity to have those things that you need to get better at, expand from, come into your life, and you just maybe wouldn't have ever realized your full potential if you hadn't had these highlighted, if you hadn't had these things lit up under the intuitive dim light of the moon. So taking that on board, take this now as a blessing, as a way of, okay, thank you, now I can move forward, and now I know exactly what to do, what not to do, what red flags to look out for. My path, I will be more achieved on my path, I will achieve more on my path, I'd be able to gain more experience, because I can navigate this now, I can see the pitfalls. And that important lesson, of course, of actions speak louder than words. So the second card being the Air Princess. So the Page of Swords. This is the messenger. This page is a beautiful page, and it's dexterous of the mind. It doesn't stay in its uplifted energy. It doesn't stay locked into certain thought processes. It doesn't stay stuck on a certain way of thinking. It's always ready to be bendable, be moldable, be soft, flowing, movable, air. So it speaks of a teachable spirit. It speaks of a spirit who is always ready to learn, who is always ready to expand the capacity and power of the mind, of the words. So it speaks to what I've just been saying there about the Nine of Swords. See this as a very different opportunity to maybe what you were feeling an hour ago, 2 hours ago, yesterday, of being bound and shackled, into realizing that, okay, I'm going to turn this around as a blessing. I'm going to be dexterous. I'm going to be moldable and bendable, and I'm going to see this in a different way. I'm going to flip this script, and I'm going to use it for my expansion, for my growth, for my mental growth, my mental capacity, the power of my words to increase. Of course, that involves the manifestation power. And so it speaks also of this messenger. It speaks of a negotiator. It speaks of things being negotiated out. So that goes back to you attaining your full potential, your path, in that if you hadn't had this opportunity to see these certain energies that were maybe trying to draw you away from the ultimate, I don't know, relationship or meeting, it speaks of being able to be bendable and moldable and dexterous, teachable. It puts you in a path of knowing exactly who to talk to, knowing exactly who to invest time in, knowing exactly where to put your intent and your energy into. So it's a really positive thing. So to clarify that, of course, this Page of Swords, this Air Princess, is always ready to act. There isn't a downtime. This is like always wanting to learn, always wanting to grow, always wanting to challenge the mind. The thinker, you know, but the excited thinker, childlike thinker, not getting locked up like so many of us adults do, binding ourselves up with our mind, this air that we have, we lock it up. So to clarify this card, we've got the Nine of Pentacles, and this speaks of the abundance, the abundant garden, the material abundance. So it really does speak for a lot of people that I'm resonating with, maybe, of the meetings, the negotiations, the plans that will be made, because you learned these lessons under this intuitive dim light of the moon. It really increases the capacity for you to get to the right people, to work with the right people, or just to move in the right way, making the right decisions yourself to get you to this place of abundance, of having the nice things, the things that you've wanted, the things that you've dreamt of experiencing while you're here, the home, the car that you've wanted, the clothes that you've wanted, the garden that you've wanted, the flowers, the fruit trees that you've wanted, all of that, this negotiation. And this negotiation is made so much more potent and so much more powerful because of these lessons, because of you having it highlighted to you through your intuition. The people that need to be ignored or let go of or turned away from, because of these energies that they have of trying to pull you onto their path rather than your path, and maybe not wanting the best for you, just thinking about them. So it puts you in a powerful position. And the last card is even more powerful because it speaks of death. It's the Death card, the Major Arcana. So this is speaking of where these energies that you decide, because you've looked at their actions rather than their words, you've unbound yourself from these mental thought patterns of where did this get in, why do I accept these kind of people in my life, and then it speaks of the death of this, of this cycle, of this cycle that you've been in that has had you surrounded by these energies. And it speaks of making more room, more space for greater amounts of fruits. Like fruit trees, when they're looked after, you know, they'll usually not have fruit for the first 2 years, because they're learning, they're absorbing, they're getting the nutrients, they're building up to be able to bear fruit, to be able to pass the blessing on of nourishment, of abundance. This card, the 9 of Pentacles. So it takes time, it takes lessons, it takes experience. And so, but the fruit tree is bendable, you know, the wind can blow through it, through its branches. Its roots are sturdy because it's feeling its way through the soil, digging its way in, getting deeper and deeper. And this kind of energy, this 9 of Swords, although it may feel awful, is a blessing, because it allows you to dig in deeper to yourself, to get rid of those openings that these energies can fill, these insecurities that we have, the labels that we've taken on, the control that we've allowed to happen over ourselves. And so then the fruits of our labor are seen. You know, we're able to, by his fruits you'll be known. And so that speaks of everything, of this letting go, of this learning, rather than coming into these challenges, into these energies and staying in them too long and being locked in them, and creating more openings of insecurities, labels and control. So this speaks of a beautiful cycle with this intuitive moon. It speaks of blessings in disguise, of expansion, of learning, of being dexterous of the mind, learning how to really be in control of your mind, learning how to not allow your mind to be in control of you, but you learning how to have this card here, this Page of Swords, this Air Princess, learning how to use your mind as the superpower that it is, rather than it use you. And it's that reversal that is so powerful. It's that gets you onto your path. It's that helps you attain everything you're here to attain, everything you want to accomplish. On the bottom of the deck is the 2 of Wands. So this speaks to courage, and it does take a lot of courage to flip the script and unlock yourself from the way you were thinking and this mental prison to flipping it round and digging deep. And it takes a lot of courage to go within and maybe expose things that, you know, you've tried to bury, abuses that you haven't wanted to look at, conditioning that you haven't wanted to face. And of course you haven't, because you've been taught not to. You've been taught to bury it. You've been taught to wear it as a label, to maybe feel like a victim, to maybe be locked away in this prison, in this mental wall. And so this speaks of the courage to break through that, the courage to look at everything within that gives you a less powerful stance. And so to go forward on the outside, negotiating, being powerful, courage, having courage to go forward, but also having courage to simultaneously to go within. Maybe go within beforehand. So that you come in at your negotiations whole. We should all be responsible for ourselves in everything we do. Friendships, lovers, you know, business partners, family. We should all take the responsibility on to come at people whole, or don't come at all. Life would be so much easier, so much more pleasurable if people took that responsibility upon themselves to, when they see these gaps, when they see these things that, you know, can break a person, can you know, have them opening up in places that shouldn't be open. It's our responsibility, nobody else's, to look at these, to really dig deep to find where they got in, and remove that gap, remove that deficit, and fill it up with a lesson learned, things extracted that can help you go forward. It's everybody's responsibility to come at people whole, or don't come at all. And so now, when you're going into these negotiations, whatever they may be, you go into them with a much more powerful, whole energy. You get a very different response than if you had gone into these negotiations under this Nine of Swords still. And there's the complete comparison I've got to speak of as well, of you do this work and the complete opposite happens, but in the same number. The universe is so kind to us, and when we're kind to ourselves and take responsibility for ourselves, look, the exact opposite, but the same number, anointing, alignment, the 9. So where you were locked down here in this card, you've been blessed, you've blessed yourself, your karma has come back on you because you've done the work, and look, you appear in the same number but in abundance, in alignment, in anointing. So it's a really powerful day, it's an awesome day. I hope you, if it resonated with you, you can all have the courage to go within. Don't be afraid of self, don't ever be afraid of self, and see the fruits of your labour, see the fruits of who you are become very apparent. It's a very beautiful day, it's a very good thing. So I hope you enjoy it. That's it for the 15th of May 2020. If you want a private reading with me, you can book in with any of the details above or below this video. For energy work, tarot reading, just get in touch. You can get in touch at True Divine 44 on Facebook. And until tomorrow, much love, be balanced, be whole always.